I'm not a morning person.
Dedicated to being passionate about it.
Bodybuilders have become more lazy.
People have always thought I lift fake weights.
Iran and the United States.
You take responsibility for that. It seems like you should be a fan of the classic physique because aesthetically, you know, it's something that you would appreciate probably more, Mel, don't you think? Do you like classic physique?
Yeah, I do. But the guy, you know, those guys are never going to garner because, like, see, people, and we could all agree on that. No matter how I feel about, you know, how big the guys are. For some reason, I just don't like Ramy's shape. But I remember when they first started talking about everybody need to come down and not be so big, and then when Rody came out and he was as big as he was, everybody was like, "Oh!" Sometimes you want to see that. But I don't think you need to reward that every time out. You know what I mean? Like the big story for me in this year's Olympia was the little guy, the 212 guy.
Oh, right. 212, yeah.
Now had he stood beside Big Ramy, I guarantee you he would look better than Big Ramy. He just wouldn't be bigger. So you probably overlook him.
You're talking about Shaun Clarida, right? The guy who won the 212, yeah.
Yes.
Well,
yes, absolutely.
Yeah. He is great.
Absolutely. He was in better condition than Big Ramy. Absolutely. And if they would have stood them next to each other, because anybody can see that you know, and a lot of times that's how bodybuilding is. It was David Henry. I remember one time I went to I believe it was in Olympia, but it might have been an Arnold, and he looked better than everybody. And they placed him like, even in the 212, they placed him like maybe number 6 or something, like some weird. But he looked better than everybody.
But Mel, remember back in the day they used to do the comparison round between the lightweight and the heavyweight. Remember that?
Right. And they needed.
They need to do that again, you think?
Of course, because big, you know. Big is not always better. So like how they say, big things come in small packages. The 212 guy was the best looking guy in the Olympia. And if they would have put them next to each other, he could have been Mr. Olympia.
Wow.
He just wouldn't have been as big as Big Ramy. You know, you just got to get bodybuilders got to get the big out of their head. They'd be more healthier, and it would be more of a competition level. Because if you're just giving it to a guy that's very big, everybody ain't going to be able to get big like that. Me personally, I never thought that Big Ramy would be able to dial in. I mean, obviously he did to a certain extent. Mm-hmm. But like I said, I wasn't impressed with nobody. I wasn't impressed. It wasn't. You know, it could have been, you know, they could have been more tighter. But in a COVID year, you know, cause nobody could really work out properly. I think Ramy, I think he had COVID, right?
Right, he had it right before, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. So I mean, obviously, you know, but and my hat's off to the guy. Obviously, he's a great guy, and most bodybuilders are. That's the thing that I like about bodybuilders. They're all great guys. But, you know, the people that run bodybuilding, they got to understand is bodybuilding is not the biggest guy in the room. If that's the case, Paul Dillette should have been champion.
He's great, too.
He was big as hell.
Yeah.
And then they go, well, he couldn't pose. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If that's the case, you wouldn't even have to have a bodybuilder show. You have all the guys, they come in, you check everybody's weight, you check their body fat, and the biggest guy that's the most ripped, just give it to him. Because that's what is basically, you know, coming down to. But you know,
you're a fan of conditioning. You think conditioning should be rewarded more, basically, in your opinion?
Yeah, absolutely. Because then when you talking conditioning, it is always going to go to a smaller guy, a guy that's not as muscular. Once you get all that muscle like that, it's hard. You know, it's like I said, I was surprised that Ramy looked as good as he did, because I thought that he would never be able to dial in. The average bodybuilder in their whole career, they probably dial in twice. Really dialed in. He was the only guy that could do it consistently, that could consistently dial in. and for that, he got penalized for it. Because like Dexter coming and he'll be ripped and then yeah well but he ain't as good as how he looked in '86. You know what I mean? It's like nobody's that good. You know, they be making excuses. Y'all say, yo, Dex, he come in crazy all the time, and they be like, well, Muhammad Ben Aziza, he. And then I thought about it. I was like, okay, you might be right. But I thought, this motherfucker died trying to look like that. Why would you bring his name up?
Yeah.
You know, but I take conditioning over size any day. I mean, it's more, you know, I love bodybuilding and it should be a more of a recognized sport. But you know, and actually they too hypocritical about it because all athletes are on something. There's no such thing as a totally natural athlete. They just know how to stay, you know, in the safety zone to where they ain't testing. But you're not gonna be perform any type of athletics on that high level without doing something. And I think bodybuilding takes the brunt of that whole thing. But you know, I still think, I mean, it's the cornerstone of athletics. That's going in the gym and working out. So I mean, it's something to be said for it. You know, but you know, I think it came to the point where the guys just look so big that it's gets it's unnatural almost.